This video is on how to create resources in Studio Suite 12. Now, because Studio Suite is studio and project management software, people want to get right to work, understandably, building their productions, projects, events, tasks, quotes, work orders, calendars, and so on. But the reality is we have to back up a step, and we need to create all of the resources first. That's your people, your rooms, your equipment, your expendables, and your services. And all the metadata about them. Phone numbers, addresses, AC outlets, breakers, barcodes, serial numbers, quantity in stock, and so forth. All that stuff that you need to track. But importantly, the rates, how much you're charging for those things, and maybe how much they cost you as well. Once we've defined all that stuff, it can consistently flow from the resource into the work, and then from there into the end product, which is your invoices that flow out to third-party software, other calendars, and of course the media assets that you're creating. So let's jump right in. So here we are at the home screen of Studio Suite. Let's jump into the Contacts module. Here we are in the Contacts list view, and we've got a number of contacts in here. Let's go ahead and create a new person by clicking the New button up at the top. And let's make this guy Ray Resource. And we can say that Ray is an editor. He's also a cameraman. And he's also a mixer. And I'm going to make him a resource by clicking the Make Resource button. Now it's asking, do you want this resource to be displayed in the calendar now? And I'll go ahead and hit yes. So that's literally all there is to it. Well, not really. Now we want to go in and define some rates. So I'm going to first flag him as an employee. And then I'm going to go to the Employee tab. And then go to the Rates subtab. From here, I can see he doesn't have any, so I'm going to create a new rate by clicking the plus button, and then create new rate. I'll create a regular rate, and here we are, Ray Resource Hourly. The unit of measure, the default is set to hour, so I'll leave it at that. And let's just say that we're going to charge a client $100 an hour, and we're going to pay Ray $35 an hour. And that's going to generate a theoretical profit of $65 an hour, or 186%. And I can optionally put in a market rate. Let's say it's $150. Now the reality is all these fields are optional. You can leave the charge empty and or the expense empty and or the market rate. Just while we're here, in the upper right, that's where you'd put any third-party accounting details, such as the category, item name, or account for QuickBooks or Xero or your accounting software. And we could also create an overtime rate. More on that in a different video. So we've created a rate for Ray, an hourly rate, and I'm going to create another one. We'll make this a daily rate. Regular, daily. And I'm going to change the unit of measure to day. And the charge is $1,000, the expense $350, and a market rate of $1,500. Again, all those fields are optional. So I'll hit continue. And just so we can cover it, Ray also does some other things. So I'm going to hit the plus button, and I'm going to add an existing rate to this resource. So this is going to bring me up to a list of all people rates, and maybe I'm going to apply the Steve Producer daily rate to Ray as well. So if Ray wants to work at a producer rate, we can do that. So that's it for contacts. Let's go take a look at rooms. Here's a list of some of the sample data rooms that come with Studio Suite. So I'll hit the New button, create a new one. Let's call it My Room. I'll go to the Rates tab. And here I'm going to make it a resource. And I also want to make a rate. So I'll hit the plus button here. Create new rate, call it a regular rate, and we'll call this hourly as well. The charge for this is $150 an hour. The expense is maybe $12 an hour in terms of rent or electricity. Again, these fields are optional. I'll just hit continue to move on. And I'm going to apply one of my existing rates to this resource. I'm just going to call it an editing rate. And so now I've got the editing rate applicable to this room as well. So the next thing that we'll look at is equipment. Now there's a whole other video on equipment inventory management that's going to get into exactly what the difference is between items, pools, and collections. But for now, we're just going to create a new item. And let's call this a Nikon D850 DSLR camera. Literally all we got to do, make it a resource. And for rates, I think you get the idea right now. I'm just going to create a new rate. Call it a daily rate. And in some places, they'll do something tricky, like they'll only charge 4 days out of a week, or maybe 10 days out of a month. So that algorithm is built into Studio Suite. So I have no idea what those things go for. I'm going to say, I don't know, 150 bucks a day. And there's no expense. So now we've got a rate for that piece of equipment. And let's go to Expendables. This is where you would have things that you run out of. So let's create a new expendable. And let's call this the Energizer 9 volts battery. And let's say that we have 10 of them in stock. And we always want to get notified if we get below 5. And I'm going to make it a resource. And I don't need this in the calendar. It's a little easier to create the rate here. I just click on the sale price field, and that creates the rate for me. We're going to charge $5 for these, and I think they cost us, I don't know, $1 or something like that. So now we've got our rate. Now, whenever I make something a resource, what actually happens is it makes a clone of that item over in the Resources and Services module. So here, if I scroll to the end of my items, we're going to see here's my camera, my room, my resource. If I want to make a new thing, like a service, I just hit the new button here, and let's call it in the category of services. We can leave subcategory empty. I'm going to make the item be compositing. Literally all I need to do. I will create a rate, and this time I'm just going to assign an existing rate to this resource. And I actually think I've got a compositing rate already. There it is. So I'm going to apply that rate to my compositing service. So that is how you create resources and rates within Studio Suite. Now that that's all done, we can go into a project. I'm going to create a new project. And I can go add items. So let's go in here. Here's our rooms. I'm going to go ahead and grab my room. That's the one that we created. I want to go filter this to look for my people. And here is Ray Resources. And then I need some batteries. So I'm just going to search for battery. There's my Energizer 9 volt battery. And then I need some equipment. So let me filter here for equipment. Here I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. Or I should be able to find my Nikon DSLR camera. There it is. So now I'm just going to add all of those items to my project by clicking the Add to Project button. There they are. We can see that they've come in with the default rates, and of course I can adjust these if I want. So if I wanted to, for Ray Resource, put him in at the daily rate, I can certainly do that, and we'll see those numbers there change. Finally, those items are also going to appear in the calendar. Here is Ray Resource, my room, and the Nikon camera. So that's about it for resources. Let us know if you have any questions.